Welcome back to my channel. Here's a little tutorial on how to mirror telemetry from ELRS to the Crossbow Mini Antenna tracker. To do this, I used HM10 Bluetooth module to fetch ELRS Telemetry from FreeSky X20. If your radio does not have internal Bluetooth, you may check if you can add an external Bluetooth module to a free UART port. A USB-to-TTL Programmer will also be needed. This is already included when you buy the Crossbow Mini Antenna tracker, so no need to buy it separately. But you can use any similar USB-to-TTL programmer if you already have one. To proceed with this project, it is assumed that you already have a working telemetry on your radio, so we can mirror it to the tracker later. Check with the ELRS website if you don't have a working telemetry. Furthermore, we will need a serial communication software. A typical tool is the Arduino IDE, which is a freeware. You may also want to get a copy of the guide on how to mirror the telemetry, which can be found on the FB group for the Crossbow Mini. But I will post the links on the description later. To begin with, have the HM10 module connected to the USB programmer according to the wiring diagram. Then plug it to your computer. Run the Arduino IDE. Then select the correct serial port for the device. Next, we will open the serial monitor so we can start talking with the HM10. On the input box, we will test if the HM10 module will respond to AT commands. Start by typing AT and send it to the HM10. The module should respond with an OK. We can also try to check the name of the module or the version number of the firmware. You may also try to browse through the list of possible AT commands in the documentation. Now let's look at the current baud rate at which the HM10 communicates. Type AT plus baud on the input box. Here we received 0, which means it uses 9600 bps. We need to reconfigure it such that it will use 115200. To do this, type AT plus baud 4 and send it to the HM10. Now we have to change the baud rate setting of our serial monitor so it will match the baud rate of our HM10. Reconnect the USB programmer to restart the HM10 module. Then test again if the HM10 responds to AT commands with the new baud rate. Next, we have to set the role of our HM10 module. For it to scan and bind with our radio, the HM10 needs to be on central mode. By default, this is on peripheral mode. However, there's a brief warning on the documentation stating that you will need to disable the autoconnect before setting the HM10 to central, which is enabled by default. We have to send AT plus IMME1 to the HM10 module to have the autoconnect disabled. Now we can change the role to central by sending AT plus role 1. To scan for the radio's Bluetooth, we will use the AT plus this ? command. But first, we need to set up the Bluetooth on the radio, such that it will work for the telemetry function. Now you will see the Bluetooth address on the screen. To proceed with the scanning, type AT plus this ? and send it to the HM10. It will show to you a list of devices discovered arranged by the manner at which these devices were discovered. Look for the address of our radio's Bluetooth. To narrow the list, turn off all other Bluetooth devices around you, then send the command to discover again. Now we see that the radio's Bluetooth is on the first item on the list. To connect to the radio's Bluetooth, send AT plus con 0. The HM10 will respond with AT plus con prompt. And you can now confirm on the radio if the Bluetooth devices are bound. Restart the radio to refresh the setup. Now you will see a lost prompt on the serial monitor. indicating that devices were disconnected. Now we need to enable the autoconnect, which can be done by sending AT+ IMME0. After that, restart the HM10 by reconnecting the USB programmer. Upon the reconnection to serial monitor, you will now see the data being streamed. Congratulations, the HM10 is now receiving data from your radio. Now it's time to wire up the HM10 module to the tracker. On my setup, I opted to use the right port for the HM10 as shown in the diagram. Set up the baud rate of that port to 115200 to match the baud rate of the HM10. Next is to set the protocol for the selected port to CRSF. Back on the main screen of the tracker, it will now display CRSF link. That ends the tutorial. I hope this would be helpful to you guys. Have a great day.